All right, and when you're ready to switch out your watch band, obviously you want to make sure you have your watch itself with whatever band it came with. Get our watch band that you ordered from us, and then some sort of spring bar tool. The one I'm using is just a little bit longer one. There's a lot of different ones out there, but they all should have this forked end on it, just like you can see it, just like that. And that's the end that's going to actually you're gonna use that to catch onto the spring bar. And once you catch on it, you can kind of pull it towards yourself, and that should release it. So I'm going to show you real quick. If you ordered from us, you should have got one of these bags that came with it. It's just a little canvas bag, but you can actually use it too as a protective surface. So you don't scuff up the front of your the bezel or the glass or anything like that. And also on that same note, if you have a really high-end watch or you're worried about scratching yours, I would highly recommend putting some like gaff tape or something around here, just because it's pretty easy when you're working at this to slip and then scuff up the case of your watch, which is no fun if that happens, especially if you're dealing with a higher end watch. But yeah, so I don't mind too much on mine. Mine's just kind of everyday watch here. But either way, whenever you're ready to start, you want to just take that forked end. I'm going to show you up close first. You want to take that forked end and then turn it kind of parallel, and that make it fit right in between the case and then the watch band itself. And sometimes, depending on the watch band, you can kind of push it down a little bit and kind of see that gap in there. This one's pretty close to it, so you can't really see it too much. But anyway, get it in there, and then you should feel it catch. You should feel it catch right onto that spring bar. And then once you do, kind of try to pull it towards yourself. And it may take a few tries here. Let me set it back down, actually. Feel it eventually disconnect from the case. There we go. And so once the one end is off, your band, most bands at least, they have the spring bar inserted inside of them. So you can literally just tap it out. I'm gonna just push it through with my other side of the spring bar tool. And there it is. And you'll want to save this. Preferably, I would say use this with the watch band you got from us, just because the ones that come with the manufacturer are always the best ones to use, just because obviously they test that way more than, some third-party ones. But it might not be a bad idea too to just buy some extras of whatever your lug width is, just because these things can get lost pretty easily, especially if you're switching out bands a lot. But either way, set that one aside and then just work on the next side. And you're basically doing the exact same thing. That one was much easier. And then you can even see inside the watch here, it's got that little hole there, and that's where the spring, when it gets released, it kind of catches in there, and it'll get stuck in there, and it's on both sides. So anyway, so take the spring bar out. And then if you have our band, you'll just want to insert it into that one. So, and it should fit right in there. May need a little bit of wiggling depending on how much the leather's broken in or not. So you should put it in there. And if it's hard to push all the way through with a tool or not, one thing you can do is if you're on a flat, hard surface, you can kind of just push with one end and you'll feel it kind of move over to the other side. And just make sure it's kind of even, something like that. It doesn't have to be perfectly even because it will snap in place, but somewhere around there we see both sides sticking out, just like that. And just do that to both sides of your watch band. So grab your other one, get the spring bar in there, kind of push that through. And then like I was saying with the other one, it should be something like that. And basically you're just doing the reversing. This is much easier to put on. Just be sure when you're putting yours on, traditionally, some people do it differently, but traditionally you'll want the long end of the band with the buckle holes to be at the bottom of the watch. So this is obviously the top of the watch, and you'll want the buckle end to be at the top of the watch. So it'll be like this. There'll be plenty of times where you might make a mistake and insert it the other way and you didn't prefer it that way, and then you have to remove it and go through it all over again. So just be sure you're doing that first. And once you're ready, you just insert that first spring bar into the hole, make sure it clicks in there. And then you could even do this without the tool. This one I usually just do with my fingernail. But you should see a little bit of your spring bar sticking out right there. And you can literally just take your nail and push down. And then you should feel it. You might have to move it around a little bit, but you should feel it click in place. And of course, to check, you can pull on your band, wiggle it back and forth. Just make sure it's really secure on there because you don't want that thing to fall off. And so it should look like that. And our bands, if you order the right lug width, they shouldn't have hardly any gap in there at all. So it should be just right with your watch band. And then you're doing the same thing with the other end. This one I'll show you with the tool. Can't really push that one down with my nail. So have just that little part there, and you take that same forked end and kind of push it down. There we go. And you should feel it click in place as well. And that's it. And do the same thing, just check on it, pull left and right and up and down, and then just make sure everything's good on it. So that's what it should look like when you're all ready to go. And then if you ever need to switch your strap out, you're basically just doing all the steps in reverse. So that's how you change your strap out for it.